Hello, 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 everybody. Something is going on here. Hold on a second. Okay, never mind. Okay. Hello, everybody. Um, I got this amazing lesson. I just came to me so real spontaneously today. I'm going live here, and I hope somebody catches it live. But if they don't, the trouble is no one ever watches live videos after they've been live. But um, maybe I'm gonna make sure I title this properly so that, give me a second here, gotta get some pages loaded up here. Classic live streaming. Well, okay, things are looking normal. You know how suddenly you'll open up your uh, YouTube windows here and everything will be changed, but I could have taken care of that before the whole video. Anyways, what I wanted to do here was change the title to this. This is what we're going to do today. How to make any open string yes, that's what I want to say. Brain fart here. Make Oh yeah. Okay, so there it is. Today's title is What Keys Can Use Every Open String? We're going to show you that real quick with graph paper here. And tell me about the songs you've graphed. Is it like a different subject here? In the comments below, if you watch this video, leave a comment. I'll get it. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. About songs that you've graphed and had success with. Today, for me, what got me thinking about this lesson was um, a song I thought I'd tackle that I'd always heard. I recently heard it on the radio, which was cool because that reminded me. I'm like, oh yeah, this song. I've always kind of liked it and wanted to learn it, but every couple of times I remembered the song, I'd steer away from it because it always seemed a little doing something I couldn't understand, and the notes, didn't fall under my fingers. My guesses were always wrong, and that song was "In Memory of Elizabeth Reed" by the Allman Brothers. Um, as heard here, some chords from it. And what I realized soon out, I could see just by that combination of notes and the melody. They just identified to me where the square was. And that was a done deal. And the chord, since they're ringing out the A string, but playing their square there, puts the this note here's the square. On the B string at the 8th fret is the root note of that scale, and that's the G scale. The G scale, but what's ringing out is the A note. And if you play the G scale, but you ring out the second tone of the G scale, that the A note, the second tone, that A note is Dorian. The second tone in a scale is always Dorian in sound. And you can create those sounds by finding a way to play a melody coming from a scale, but the second tone of that scale is the chord that is being, or the lower tone that's being pedaled. It's like a pedal tone. I think when it's higher up, it's a pedal tone, and when it's lower, it's a drone. So you're droning A while making a melody on the G string. See how that just made the that series of notes kind of sound sad, but that was the happy G major scale. You know, sunshine, morning time, birds chirping, wholesome cereals, whatever. But play the second note, the A. Anyway, so, yeah, that was in memory of Elizabeth Reed Dorian. So if you want to experiment with that today, and I was looking at how as soon as I realized the pattern, I took a look at the chords and saw how that fit in over the. Oh, sorry, one fret up. This first chord here, with the A ringing out, comes right from the pattern I know as the Phrygian pattern. Hear him in the box. Then, as a matter of fact, this chord cuts right through it's using the lower part of a. Here, I can fill it in right here. Well, you know what? I don't necessarily want to fill in this scale I do because I want to get onto the original point. But anyways, this comes from the Phrygian shape. I'll just have to trust it. You guys know what the hell I'm talking about at this point in the game. And then this one, and this one, just straight up and down. Well, that's found right in that Dorian shape. Kind of like stacked fourths with, I think, as a minor third in there. Anyways, so yeah, those come from Dorian, and I was thinking about, as I was playing, I was noticing that the open strings, almost all of them sounded good, and that gave me this idea. I'm like, hey, I'm sure it's just it's the right key for the song. It's pretty. There could have been a myriad of reasons they chose that key, but one great reason to choose that key is because it's one of a select few keys that utilize every open string. Kind of neat, huh? So I thought to myself, hey, exactly how many keys are there that will use every open string? And then the answer was instantaneous to me. It was 3, because I know the 3 rows in the major scale that appear when all the notes are piled on this, jumbled around to make the major scale on the guitar. It occurs in 3 places that every single note in a row is used. So let's take a look at that. And we'll start out with our first key that is, we'll take a look at that here. let me get back to my camera view here. Hold on a second. Okay, so I can get everything lined up here. Okay, I'm going to start up here and draw the basics of a scale. Let's see, so we don't run out of space here and we don't jumble up everything here. I'm going to go here, put a square, a square. This is how quickly you can know how to populate the major scale on a guitar fretboard just by using this box pattern thingy I'm doing here has been explained multiple times in many of my videos, so I'm going to assume that you guys heard that by now and know what the hell I'm talking about. So you just keep drawing this little pattern here. We've got that part of the fretboard. And so here is where the that chord came from I was talking about. Start here, add in this note that it does exist in the scale. That one and that one was this. So yeah, we're in our, you notice there's a row of boxes here, as I always show you guys and girls. We break off this broken box here, and that connects to the box here, and we know we are in the bottom of the proverbial Aeolian pentatonic kind of concept shape here. Alright, and we start with our big box here, which is the same as the big box here, so we have our whole fretboard laid out here. We have that little L shape of notes there, which is the L shape of notes here. I'll dot in those since it gets kind of confusing around that area as to what I'm indicating and what I'm not indicating. So anyways, in this, there's your major scale pattern. Well, let's take a look for the places where all the notes line up from top to bottomonious here, and we're going to fill in some missing notes to make it all apparent. Let's put a note there, and so forth and so on. So take a look at this. Take a look at this. Right here, you'll notice basically what I call the Aeolian cross. It's where the broken box is. Through one of the boxes. It's where it breaks on the second and third string. Is a row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there is a row of notes. There is a row of notes 1 and 2 and 3. So this is the Dorian shape. This is your Phrygian shape. Phrygian, Phrygian, yeah, I know. Phrygian. It's that shape. It's for your reference. That's why you know these. That's why I call them that, just as reference names, not as any musical idea. That's what you want to clarify there when I say this is this shape, and you're like, well, how does that even make Dorian? Why is that? It gets all confusing. Don't worry. You just need these. You're using, and it's okay to do this. You'll find out later that it's totally, makes sense to do this. That we're just using those names here as reference points, geographical, mapping points where, like, okay, yeah, that shape is the Dorian, for example. Okay. So there you have, if you line up these with your open string or the 12th fret, then you basically have the makings of an open, having all the open strings ring out. So, for example, if we lined this row up here, where would we be? Well, this note will indicate our parent scale, and this note that we're playing will indicate probably if we're, well, basically you could ring out any one of these notes in your composition, but This note will be our parent scale. So what's our parent scale if we put this over all the E? So you can hear it sonically there, and we know that we're on the open third string, so that's D. We'd be in the key of D, D major. So let's write that down here. D major. Oh, right here, D major. Will get us, will be a great key to have all those strings opening up. So what if we put this row on all the lower E? That gives us right here was going to be maybe our first visible note. That would be the first fret on the B string. And that's a C. And we should know that's the C major scale. So neat, the C major scale. I don't know. Anyways, I during that little whatever it was there, I was ringing out all the trying to accentuate the chords from C major. And maybe minus the B diminished. I was also ringing out all the open strings to kind of show you how they all ring through. So D major, C major, and what's this one? Well, if we put that, let's try that over here. And our broken box, once again, lines up on one of the, would be this one, right, is our, even though it's a broken box, it's still the main box of the major scale, the half steps, and that would be the parent scale note. We say parent scale because you can play modally by using these parent scales, but accentuating other notes in the scale as drones or pedal tones. So what we have here is G. We're on the G string. The G string. Yeah, that's that. So what we discovered here is C major, D major, C major, and G major. And hey, remember G major in memory of Elizabeth Reed? So as you see, I don't have all the notes right, but the cool thing is once you know the scale pattern, you're not your wrong note choices are still in the scale, so they don't sound like all that bad. When you don't know anything or you can't even visualize what they're doing, then you choose sometimes notes that are just awful sounding, and you really just give up because you don't know what the hell you're doing. It doesn't sound like you can figure out what they were doing, and it sounds like, man, they were just way over your head, and these guys were masters, and they were, because they mastered this in their own way, probably. No telling if you or anyone else will ever visualize the fretboard like I am, but that's how I can kind of see what's going on and communicate musical ideas that'll make sense to other musicians that can also understand, the mechanics of a major scale and how it works and all the basics of theory. Um, and even if you don't know theory, if you go through a lesson like this and you start to pick up on certain things or it starts to make sense and then those ideas become intriguing to you, next thing you know, you start chasing music theory because you kind of get it, and next thing you know, you found a way over the mountain that was in front of you, a secret tunnel perhaps. Ooh, secret tunnels, metaphors, right? Yeah. Well, I'm going to check my page right now to see what kind of chatting people I have, what kind of watchers, who is checking out this video after 20 minutes, and especially with the terrible intro there. It took forever to get to the point. No one's watching, so I think hopefully at this point the title is going to have to draw you in, and the fact that I'm going to cut off this video now for a couple reasons. Time to get out of here for things I have to do today. Wanted to just go live and not make it an hour-long video because I think when they're only 20 minutes, more people will click on it because, well, it seems more of like a bite-sized chunk of their day, not an hour-long, waste of time. So, speaking of waste of time, so as not to waste any more of your precious time and make it cool here, we're going to leave it at that. Remember, in memory of Elizabeth Reed, put it on the Dorian scale. Here, let's map out G major then, and I'll leave you with that, and we can you guys can jam along with In Memory of Elizabeth Reed today, and the solo from Inca Roads by Frank Zappa, of all songs, right? And if you're new to that one, check it out today. We have some new cool music to think about, I think. So yeah. Well, broken square, full on square, on the inside strings, broken square, which also appears below it, creating a full square on the outside pair. The inside pair gets a square, but I almost messed up there because while following the rules that a square always connects corner to corner like we just did here, the square does not go corner to corner here because of the G and B string shift. So luckily for us, we get somewhat of a savable line there. That little thing there is wrong. We're going to go up here and up here. Basically, we've got two there, one there to make the full box above, so half box below. We know whenever we got that full box at the top, that is that side of that Aeolian shape, and here's what we're going to call the Aeolian cross there, because it's like a cross with one arm a little lower than the other. Very good, very good. So just to clarify what is being exposed there. So there's all your open strings. Now I wonder if I play a backing track, if YouTube would flag this video. I'm not going to dare it because I think this one will be a pretty helpful video for a lot of people, and I'd like a lot of people to see it. So there we are again at the octave. And so you guys can see the scale here. We get it visualized. Square, square, square. Broken square. That's how you get through the whole thing. And you're back to where you were before. See how fast? Alright, so like, you might think, well, gee, Mark, when I'm playing, I don't really have time to visualize this. I can visualize a square, but then all these little hanger notes that you got on the side, gee, it's getting kind of confusing. Well, I think after a while, once you realize how these are just basically chugging through your pentatonic scales, you realize that when you see these two, you're in your Dorian shape, and then when this one is the bottom, it kind of like hinges Dorian on one side, Phrygian on the other side, and then when you're finding your broken part, you're in your Aeolian cross there, and that's the Aeolian pentatonic, and you're back right to the shape that guides you back into the Dorian and Phrygian spot. So, there's just basically that, and it really starts to, oh, I messed that up, didn't I? Sorry. There's just that, Aeolian, and then there's a little gap, and then there's the Phrygian Dorian group, and then there's a little gap, and then there's back to the Aeolian, and that gap is only a whole step away. Actually, if you thought that sounded musical, I sort of did, but listening back, I probably have a different opinion. I was actually thinking that I was trying to determine, but I couldn't figure it out while I was playing. So, what the sixth there. So I was turning that into more of a Aeolian minor sounding scale. At least I was like trying to pull in that direction. But not to whatever, just some rambling here at the end of the video. Making it longer than I wanted to. Have a good day, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video, and leave a comment below if this is something that helped you out. And jam in memory of Elizabeth Reed with this pattern, and make your own compositions up that enable you to play in, all the fun chords of G major while ringing out open strings. So right there, I was just, bringing out open strings all over, just making a mess of everything, and it all kind of sounded okay. It all rang together, at least, and that's because every open string was paired with those chords, which all came from one scale, the G major scale. G major has, those chords will fit in other scales, but together. It's their relationship together that is all comes from the structure of the G major scale. It creates a pattern of major and minor, and if you wonder how that happens, as I ramble on here, for those who are just always clueless, and I don't mean to call you clueless, but you're at the point where you don't really get all this stuff. Major and minor is the third. Minor third is sad, major third is happy. So in a scale, when you go up, the major and minor third is always jumping around, so it creates major, minor, minor, major, major with a special addition called a seventh, so it's called a dominant seventh, a minor chord, then a diminished chord, and a major chord. But no time for all that music theory, right? But just a little overview for someone that got lost. I don't know.